snail mail. Send me a letter. And if they don't have the correct address, then too bad on them. Tell them stop calling me. I don't want you calling me here at this number that you dialed. Don't call me at work. Don't call me at my mama house. Don't call me on my home phone. You make sure to let them know not to call you if you don't want to hear from them via phone. They can contact you via snail mail. They're used to that. They're used to that or should be used to that. And if they violate it, then it is a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And they could end up owing you money instead of you owing them money. So make sure that you do that. All right, let me take a pause right quick. I don't have a question of the day today. I need to get this in and over with because, it's Saturday. I told you guys I got soccer up the wazoo on Saturday, so I'm going to have to get out of here. So let me give a couple more shout-outs, and then we'll get to the credit card do's and don'ts. All right, I got to give a shout-out to Katrina Peoples. Katrina celebrated her birthday earlier, so happy birthday to you, Katrina. And I think, I'm not going to even announce that. Happy birthday, Katrina. And then I got to give a shout out to Chris Jones. That's one of my fire brothers. So happy birthday to you, Chris Jones. Harambe Pernell. Happy birthday to you, Harambe, a long time friend from childhood, a member of Phi Beta Sigma. Happy birthday to you, Harambe Pernell. Matt Broadnax. Happy birthday to you, Matt, a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Happy birthday to you, Matt, an alumnus of Indiana University. Go Hoosiers, get that win today in football. I got to give a shout out to Vince Isom. Happy birthday to you, who is actually in Bloomington, Indiana, where Indiana University is. So happy birthday to you, Vince Isom. I got a few more before I get, nope, let me do this one. I got to shout this one out because I don't want to wait to the end of the show. Happy 21st anniversary. Happy 21st anniversary, wedding anniversary to Reverend Jimmy Meadows and Erica Meadows. Happy anniversary to you guys. 21 years. I can't believe it's been 21 years. I was actually in that wedding, at the most beautiful wedding I had seen. Red and white, just a beautiful, beautiful wedding. So happy anniversary to you guys. All right, so let's go to a couple of more signs that you may need some credit restoration. So we talked about the debt collectors calling. If you have to give high deposits when you go to cut your utilities on at your new place, whether it's, light and gas or whatever, if you got to give a high deposit, that's because they pulled a credit report on you and they're looking at the possibility that you may not, make this payment all the time and on time. Or if you got to do a high deposit on your cell phone, that's the same thing. Same thing. If you got that issue, you got, you're switching from AT&T to Sprint or whatever it is you're doing, and you got to give high deposits anywhere that you got to put a deposit down somewhere, they're going to pull that credit report on you. And if your credit score is at a certain place and it's not looking really good, then your deposit is going to be even higher. So your credit is not just for you to go buy things, not just so you can get the bigger house and a better car with the lower interest rate and the lower payment. It's also to help you with things like this, so you don't have to pay those high deposits when you go to places as well. So make sure if that's happening to you, you might want to look at some credit restoration, and you can call me 312-600-5855. By the end of this show, if you don't know this number, I don't know. I can't help you. I can't do nothing for you if you don't know this number by the end of the show, as many times as I said it. So if you got to pay those high deposits, then you definitely need to look into something. And here's one of the last things, unless I think of something else. So if your credit reports stop you from getting a job, so if you've got a job, you're applying for a job, or you're applying for a promotion, and they want to look at your credit, if you look at applications nowadays when you apply for a job, the applications will say that they may do a background check on you, and then they often say as well that they might have to do a credit check on you. So I have even given examples here on the show of an individual that wound up being homeless and without a job because of their credit report. This person happened to be going to work for an apartment complex. They offered her the job. She got the job. Then they did her background check and they pulled a credit on her. And when they pulled a credit on her, it was not so good. And since it was so bad that they had to rescind the offer from her to work there. Now, part of the benefits for her working there was to get an apartment. I don't remember if it was for free or, at a reduced rent or whatever. But since that was the case and she thought she had this job in the bag, she already did her 30-day notice where she was staying before. So she gave her 30-day notice. That particular apartment complex had already decided, hey, we are, we got somebody else to move in here. So this lady ended up homeless because of her credit score. I know it's an extreme example, but these are some of the things that could happen to you. So if you are getting held back at the job, I don't care if you're working at McDonald's and you're working fries, you want to get on the cashier, you want to get at that drawer so you don't smell like fries every day when you go home, then they may be looking at your credit once they put you in charge of some money. If you want to go from the fry man to the cashier to the assistant manager to the manager, then your credit may come into play. So you want to make sure that you get those things done so it doesn't hold you back. All right. So those are some things, some signs that if you can't get the job done, if you got to pay high utilities, if you got debt collectors calling you, if you're thinking about filing bankruptcy, you need to look into some credit restoration. And before it gets to all of that, seriously, before it gets to all of that, you need to not bury your head in the sand. Like I said earlier, if you decide, hey, I don't want to even look at my credit report, don't bury your head in the sand. So what? You don't have the money to do it right now. Not everything will cost you. Will cost you if you're looking at doing some kind of disputes and whatnot on your credit report. Not everything costs you. So make sure you do those things, you guys, so you can just move on with life and make things run a lot smoother. Go in and get a car, just go in and they say, hey, we got a car, we got 5 banks that want to give you money for this car, and boom, you ride off into the sunset. So let's look at your credit repair. So come back next week so you can hear the offer that I have for you for the free 20 minutes for me to take a look at your credit. All right, so I'm done with that particular portion, and we're going to get out of here in short order today. Let me give a couple more shout out. Kim Pines. I got to give a happy birthday shout out to Kim Pines. Happy birthday to you, Kim. E. Watt. Yes, Ed Watson. I got to give a shout out to Ed Watson. Kevin Johnson. Look at that. My namesake, KJ. Kevin Johnson. Happy birthday to you. Cigar Noob. That's a noob. E. Watson noob as well. So happy birthday to both of you guys. All right. So look, let me talk about these credit do's and don'ts when it comes to your credit card. So these things can help you maintain your credit and your budget too. So it's kind of twofold if you really look at it right. So of course, don't miss a payment. That's number one in anything. Don't miss a payment when it comes to your credit. I need you to do this. Do know what your interest rate is. So don't just have your card and you not know that it's 24.99, especially if you're using a couple different cards. If you're going to make a big purchase and use your credit card on one of them, then you want to make it on the credit card that has the lower interest rate, right? It just makes sense to save you money at the end of the day. So you got to know your interest rate. Do know if you have an annual fee. So if you got a card and you're not using it, you just got that card so it can help you establish some credit, and it has an annual fee of $50 or $70 or whatever, $75, whatever it is, then make sure that you know that. You got cards sitting in your wallet, and maybe you don't even know that they're charging you an annual fee every year. Do know if you got an annual fee. Now, don't pay annual fees. So if you got that card when you had bad credit, you needed some help, and now your credit has improved, you're sitting at over a 700, don't pay an annual fee anywhere. Don't do that. You guys just don't pay an annual fee. Give them a call, even if you need to keep the card, because we don't like closing cards, right? So if you need to keep the card and everything, call them up. Say, hey, my credit was, it was 600 when you guys granted me credit. Thank you very much. But now it's 720, and I don't want to pay an annual fee, and see what they say. Sometimes I haven't heard of anybody waiving it for life for you. Typically what they'll do is they'll offer you to apply for a different card that does not have an annual fee. It only helps you if you're going to cancel the one with the annual fee. But then also they'll offer to waive the fee for that 1 year, or they'll waive the fee for 2 years for you. So give them a call, even if your credit hasn't improved as of yet and the car's not, say 2 months old, but it's 2 years, 3 years old. Give them a call if you got an annual fee and see if they'll waive that for you. All right, so I need you to. That was my points 4 and 5. So give them a call. See if they'll do that. Do know what your payment is, how your payment is calculated. So some companies, some credit card companies calculate your payment as 1% or 1.5% of what your balance is. So if your balance is $5,000 and it's a 1%, then you're gonna pay $50 a month. That's what your payment's gonna be. Other cards, it's up to like 3.5%. So you got a card, it's 3.5% of whatever your balance is. So you got that $5,000 balance, it's going to be 3.5% of that. So know what they do. That's all in your statement. So if you look at your statement, you got to read all the little fine print. It should tell you what it is. If it's 1%, 1.5, anywhere in between, it'll tell you what it is, or you can calculate it. All you got to do is, take your balance and then look at what the payment is. You can figure it out. Math wise. So take a look at that. If you can't figure it out and you don't see it on your statement, call the 800 number on the back. See what it is. All right. So, because sometimes what we'll do is, okay, we're going to put it on this particular card, or you're going to do a balance transfer or something. You're like, okay, I'm going to transfer it to this card. If I get rid of the one and combine them as two, it should make my payment lower. But if you go from a card that's only charging you 1% of what your balance is to a card that's charging you 3.5% per month on that particular balance, then it may not lower the payment, what you were looking to do. So you need to know that information. So before you perform a balance transfer, know how much the fee is. So there's nothing wrong with doing a balance transfer, especially getting that 0% for 18 months or 12 months or whatever it is. Definitely nothing wrong with that. But you need to know what that fee is. So you can't do it for free. They got to make money somewhere. So they charge you a fee. Sometimes it's 3%. Most of the times it's up to 5%, and it could be higher. Could be higher for sure, but they're going to charge you a fee for doing the balance transfer. I know mine often says, like a minimum fee of $5, but it's 3% or it's 5% on that one if you're going to do that balance transfer. So know what that fee is. And they send you those little checks in the mail that's blank. You can write to yourself, or you can write it to your other creditors or whatever. Then make sure you know that. All right. So as an example. So if you got $5,000 you're going to transfer and it's at 1% fee, then that's $150. So when you get, after you do that, when you get your first statement, you're not going to owe $5,000. You're going to owe $5,150. If that same thing happens and it's a 3% fee, then that's $250. I'm sorry, if it's a 5% fee, then that's $250. So when you get your first statement, it's going to say you owe $5,250 on that. So make sure you know that. Do know what your due date is. You got to know when your due date is so you can pay on time, all right? If you miss a payment, don't wait till the next payment to quote-unquote try to make it up. Pay it right away. Pay it right away, because you'll get stuck in that cycle and you'll wind up showing that you're 30 days late. So make sure you do that. Do call your credit company and ask about your due date. Plenty of these companies now will tailor your due date for you. They'll tailor that due date around what's best for you. You get paid on the 1st and 15th, and rent's due on the 1st, or your mortgage due on the 1st, and you want to make that payment due on the 18th, then they can move it for you. So give them a call, see if that's possible for you. And the last thing I got for you today, and I can't believe we're going to get out of here in 30 minutes. The last thing you want to do is don't close old cards. Do not close old cards. Talked about it a little bit earlier. Don't close those old cards while you're trying to improve your credit. Now, if you've gotten your credit to 720, 750, 820, whatever it is, you've gotten your credit up there, and it's an old card, especially if it's one with the annual fee we talked about. It's one with the high interest rate. You call them and say, hey, I want you to change my interest rate and lower it for me, and they refuse to do so, even though you've been with them for 20 years, then knock yourself out. Close that card. But just know, while you're improving your credit score, you don't want to close those cards while you're improving your credit score. I don't care if you don't owe them anything. You don't want to close that card for several reasons. Several reasons. You got that good payment history on there. It's helping you with your utilization because it has a limit on it, but no balance. So it's definitely helping you with that. It's helping you with your length of history. It's helping you with the mix because you got both revolving and and installment loans. So it's helping with 90% of what makes up your credit score, so you don't want to close those old cards, all right? So look, that's the show for today, y'all. I got to get out of here. We got to go get this win in soccer. So, um,